Good morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. I posted onto Facebook that I had made my stock already for my gravy that I always do in advance. So I got a lot of questions. So we're gonna start with prep work for today. I'm gonna just show you a couple things. I did go shopping. First off, I prepped, come on over here, Ashley, show them the pile of my scraps that I had prepped already. As you can see, I cut up some onions, carrots, celery, garlic, parsley, parsnips, and scallion, and these are all the scraps. I took leaves off the thyme, so I make my thyme butter. I made a cornbread, and I prepped my green beans. What I'm doing right now is just showing people, they always ask, what do you do with mushrooms? I don't wash my mushrooms, I wipe my mushrooms. If you wash them, water makes them get brown. So, why am I cutting all these scraps? Well, I'm going to use it for my gravy and my roasting. And then while I am doing that, I'm also making my vegetable platter. So I use the carrots and the celery for my vegetable platter. Then I'll add some broccoli florets and cauliflower. In the meantime, then I'm using the scraps to make when I roast the turkey, okay? So that's it for now. That's some prep you can do very far in advance. You don't have to do it the morning of. This should help you with also cleaning. You're actually going to have everything ready, less cleaning to do the day of. Hello, folks. Again, we're back to getting ready to prep to put our turkey to roast. And I'm starting with all the scraps. Actually, take a picture of the scraps, the pile that I took from last time. I'm putting it in the bottom of the pan. I'm going to toss it with some oil. And it's going to roast off, and that's what's going to give you some great flavor in your stock. You put the garlic things, everything in there, parsnip, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to go to the next step of prep. That's cutting your vegetables. As you see, I cut my mushrooms for my string bean casserole. I'll make my own fresh cream of mushroom. Basically, people use cream of mushroom soup. I'll make my own. Chopping some carrots, chopping some onions for stuffing and all the other things I'm going to use it for. I'll use some onions in with my mushroom prep, with my string beans, and I'll cut up some garlic next, some scallion, parsnips, and the whole 9 yards. So I'm also going to use some of this for turkey soup. After I make the broth for the gravy, I'll have tons of extra stock that I will be serving a turkey matzo ball soup with sausage. So you're probably asking, why am I not defrosting this turkey in water inside my sink? Ashley, show the size of the sink. A couple of years ago, I was defrosting 2 turkeys in the sink, filled it up with water almost to the top, came back an hour later, and the sink fell. Water in the basement coming through the hi-hats. So no longer will we ever defrost a whole turkey or 2 turkeys in the sink ever again. All right, so we are prepped. If you can see, I'm gonna be making the mushroom gravy for on top of the string beans. I have my prep here for our stuffing. And just so you know, I do this all in advance. I would never do it the day of typically, because this is stuff you can heat up in the oven at the same time as you're cooking your turkey. So you saw before I made a cornbread. Because it was too moist, I made it yesterday. I made crouton out of it and dried it out a little bit. I'm gonna be using some dry Pepperidge Farm breadcrumbs. I have my applesauce. I cut up my sausage for my stuffing and also for my soup, for my matzo ball turkey soup, which you can see I also have the parsnips cut, scallions, parsley, onions, carrots, and celery, okay? So I'm gonna use, I don't throw anything out, as you can tell. I use all the scraps for that, for the roasting of the turkey and making the pan gravy. I'm also gonna use this beautiful sausage oil and the fat that came off of me roasting the sausage for starting of for my stuffing, okay? So, with that, let's get started. So guys, I am a high heat cooker. I like to get a little bit of olive oil in the pan. This is gonna be searing off my mushrooms for my onions and garlic. And again, I put the sausage drippings in there. I'll add a little bit more oil just so I can sweat down the garlic and the onions. I'm bringing that up to heat now. So let's get started. Let me get a utensil out of here, Ashley. So let's use the spoon. So I'm a generous garlic guy too. So this is for the mushrooms. This is for a little bit more, never hurt. We're half Italian here, so we can go extra garlic. Let's go with the onion in the mushrooms, and a little bit more in the mushrooms, and then this is the gravy. So the sauce, what is it, Ashley, I'm making? The stuffing, right? So I'm gonna put more onions in there. We're gonna sweat this down. So I'm using two different types of pans here. I'm using one pan that is not non-stick. I can see I'm gonna need to add a little bit more oil to that. The non-stick one will sweat much easier. If you could smell this now, how does it smell, Ashley?
Really good.
Really good, right? All right. So with the non-stick pan, you do not use a metal spoon. You use a wooden spoon. You don't want it to scrape the bottom and ruin the actual Teflon part of it. All right, we're gonna stir that. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit there because I'm almost ready to add in all my other stuff for my stuffing, which is going to be the celery first. And the carrots. Let's do it all together. Make it nice and easy. As you can see, I'm cooking on electric. Maybe it's not ideal for some, but it's also very forgiving for the person that doesn't cook on a regular basis. Sometimes the flame gets too hot. So, oh man, can you smell that? Can you see the turkey gravy back there too, Ashley? We're gonna use that as the stuffing to make it if it's too dry, we're gonna add that. And now I'm gonna add my mushrooms into this pan. I'm a big believer while cooking, you cook with what you like. Not everybody likes what I'm gonna put into this stuff all the time. Like I'm gonna add sausage in a little bit. Not everybody likes that in their stuffing, but that's the way I cook. You come to my house, I cook the way I want. Sounds good, Ashley?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get that cooking a little bit more. We're gonna add a little bit more oil to this too, now that we added all that dry ingredient. We are now gonna add some thyme into the stuffing. The fresh thyme. I use the stems for the gravy, and we're gonna roast that off after that. So again, do this a day or two in advance at least. It sits well in a pan. I never put the stuffing in my bird because the center of the bird is never really gonna get fully up to temperature without overcooking the breast. So we don't wanna overcook that. We'll do that. We'll keep this on the side. And this is the pan I will use to serve my stuffing. The crunchies will be nice and beautiful on top. So let me get this going a little bit more. We'll be back to you shortly. I'm gonna add some sausage. Let's add some sausage, right? We'll do that now. And I'm gonna reserve the rest of the sausage for my turkey soup, along with all my other crap. All right, we'll be right back. So, when you want ultimate flavor on a vegetable, you actually want to brown it. It caramelizes it, brings the natural sugars out. And most people, including myself, have a tendency to want to turn it and then it just only steams. So the key from my mushrooms is I've been leaving them here a little bit with the onions. So let's see if they've been caramelized. Oh yeah, look at that brown color coming off of the bottom of that pan. So we are going to stir that in. We're going to add some butter. Butter makes everything better. The key to really cooking, when you go to a restaurant and how you get the most amount of flavor, I hate to say it, nothing good for you, butter and salt. That's it. So now I'm going to add the cream. And we're gonna turn on the heat over here to finish up the stuffing at the same time. Let's add more cream. So we're gonna add cream and reduce. So basically cream of mushroom soup. I'll season just a little bit right now. I use kosher salt. I'm a big kosher salt fan. And I'm gonna use black pepper. Normally I might wanna use white pepper, but being it's a brown vegetable, I'm okay with black pepper. Anything white, like turkey, like I'm gonna show you later, I'm gonna use white pepper. The breadcrumbs are already seasoned, so we don't wanna go crazy, right? So we're just gonna heat that up a little bit. We're gonna let this reduce down. I have my turkey stock ready to go for thinning it out if I need to. We're gonna make a sauce out of it. My daughter Ashley is a proclaimed gluten-free girl, so we make gluten-free roux, and that's butter, melted butter, and you stirring flour. It's a thickening agent. You can use cornstarch, you can use arrowroot slurry, whatever you want to use to thicken it. So we're gonna get the stuffing going right now. As you can see in the pot, I actually finished off all the garlic between the two things. I'm a little bit of a garlic junkie. So as you can see in my pot here, we have the Pepperidge Farm breadcrumbs and the cornbread croutons we made. Make sure that doesn't boil over there, Ashley. All right, good. Now, I use a little bit of a thickener. I use egg in my stuffing. I'm gonna use a little bit of stock here in the bottom of this pan. It's called deglazing, because you want all that nice flavor off the bottom of that pan, especially the little brown parts. We're gonna let that go a little bit. Trick to my stuffing, applesauce. Okay, so we're gonna stir this. I like to make my stuffing a little wet, because again, I'm cooking it in this surface area, so the crunch is on the top and the moistness is underneath. Look at that color in there, nice and vibrant. I don't cook the celery and carrots all the way through. I like a little crunch sometimes. I'm gonna add my beaten eggs. This is my biggest pet peeve when I watch every cooking show. They crack the egg right into there. There's no way it is mixing in evenly. This is my pet peeve of the day. Public service announcement. Now let's add in the stock and all that nice little juice. Look at that color on that. All right, so this will go in there. Now we will mix and see if I need to adjust. We will taste for flavor now and add salt and pepper as needed. Bring over the stock. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because cream has a tendency to want to boil over when you're not looking. It's always that next second later. Look, you see it coming up now? Okay, so I'm going to use my tasting spoon. Give me an idea of what... Oh, that's good with the cornbread. Nice little sweetness to it. And that Italian fennel seed that's in the sausage comes right through. I'm really going to lower it now, so we can finish this up. I'm gonna make this a little bit thicker. I'm a believer, you have to add a little bit at a time. You do not wanna make it too wet or too dry all at once. So even when a recipe, if you're looking at a recipe and it says, add in a half a cup, start with a quarter of the cup. Because you can always add it, you can't take it away. And I want mine a little bit wetter. It's almost like a slurry. Yeah, that's the texture I want. And then we're just gonna put it into the pan. And I believe my best utensil is my hand. We never wanna waste anything. Don't be worried, I just washed my hands. And that's it.